Good. Great. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me. Um, Before we start, because we are less in numbers, maybe we can make this conversational. And rather than waiting till the end, you can just stop me and ask if you have any question in the middle. Okay. So, yeah. Uh, so, quickly, I'll start with something to talk about me. So, just a brief intro about me. I'm a father of 2-year-old. Of course, by core, by heart, I'm a teacher. I started part of my career, I have been teaching. Of course, I did a lot of teaching on YouTube. I co founded OpenSense Labs in 2016. And then in roughly after 4 years, um, when the company was like quite a bit mature, we started forking our interest in different direction, and I founded a company which is technically Grass Golem, but the product is Edredo. Okay, so so I'll quickly talk about OpenSense first because this was my first company. I started this just after graduating from my school. This is a full service agency. Drupal is at the core, but we do provide services from in other verticals like JavaScript. We also have a Laravel team, and we do possess some AI capability as well, but that is more for our internal products. Time to time, we use it for our clients as well. We are 150 plus strong. We have two offices, one in New Delhi and another one is in Bhopal. And recently, we have started our US operations. I personally stay in Vienna itself, and that's why it was easy for me to join here. For partly for my personal reasons, and partly because we have some clients in Munich with whom I've been working very closely. So for me, it's convenient to stay here. Well, this is Edredo, one of my dream project actually, and this is the recent feedback I received about Edredo, and that's what I have screenshot here because I thought this is the best, explanation of what this product is. On July 6th, you can see I opened my inbox and I had this um, testimony from Nigeria, and this person is using basically he's a educationist, and he is using Edredo since it was launched, and this is the little nice feedback we received, and this explains Edredo. It is first LXP. I inherited this term from digital experience platform, what we call. I call Edredo is not a learning management system because I believe LMS is gone days. Okay, and this is time for it to evolve, and what I call it as LXP, learning experience system. 9 months ago, I launched beta version of it, and right now we have 70K, almost 70K. Roughly the number should have been now up, 70K registered user. We have 3.5K plus classrooms. Okay, when I say classrooms, we have different types of classrooms. So basically, we have workrooms, we have learning rooms. Different type of classrooms are there, and these are the number. We provide platform for users to learn, connect, and grow. Okay, that's the headline of this product. And right now, as I said, it's beta, but we also see it as future hiring platform because all the hiring platforms what you see is either too much focused in a direction. Some of the platforms are like self-bragging platform. People, it's no validation of what you talk about. Like for instance, LinkedIn, everybody is helping you do something, right? So this is what we call that. In future, this platform can become a platform where it can show the proof of work for every user, and that's why we call it a future learning platform. Yeah. Okay. So there are two main agenda of this um session. One is, of course, I'm going to talk about migration. Everybody has now, I mean, now so far, you must have worked on one or other migration project. This one is little bit, I mean, it has a different experience, and that's why I wanted to share what I have learned from it. Migration in general is painful, especially if we talk about Drupal 7, because it's a rebuild process. You completely rebuild new application, and then followed by this, there is a extract, transform, and load process, ETL process, which you follow in order to migrate the data. And then this becomes especially painful. There are some, of course, some modules I don't want to talk about. There are some modules which you can use and can ease the job, like migrate, etc. But it's not too much helpful when you have very custom build application. Now, in case of large applications, okay, where a lot of customizations are there, a lot of data is distributed in different forms, then first challenge is that you need to find out all the support in the new version of the Drupal, right? Okay. Or the second thing is that, like, let's say if this project is too big, okay, like Edredo is, and you start building this platform, building this new platform, okay, the moment you complete, probably the new version will be there, okay. So catching up with the new releases is also somewhat challenge. Yes, it is easier with new version of Drupal, right, because the migrations are now easier, but still you have to keep up with it. And then another challenge is modern web experience, right? Not everything, I believe, you can achieve with Drupal. You can achieve, but it's not suggested to do it with Drupal. Put it, let me put it in the right way. So so this is the main agenda, and but I'm also going to share a growth hack which I did in this product. So being from tech background, it's easy for us to imagine a product and build it, right? But when it comes to taking it to the user, it's always, we always face hard time, right? I mean, how to get to the user is always challenging for us. So I did something which I'm going to share for the first time with any audience, and that I'll share at the end. That's kind of bonus from this session. So okay, so here is the expected, solution. Basically, I would say the solution is when you align your development approach with the expectation of the end user, okay. So when I say end user, you always have to think of your customer's customer, not just your customer, okay. So end user experience matter. You cannot just, switch to something and which has changed the experience a lot. Then it cannot be an infinite wait as well, right? I mean, you cannot just always say that, okay, we are working on it, we are working on it, right? So you always need to give something as output, right? Then it has to be cost effective, right? The solution which you plan has to be scalable. It's not like, I mean, building something which works and building something which always works are two different things, right? Whenever we code in Drupal, whatever nasty code you are writing, it works, right? But when you put it on production, then it starts to crash, right? And then we realize that, the code written was not optimized, and a hell lot of things are to be done. So that's something which you have to take care of. And then finally it comes to, matching the modern standards. So the expectations of user, end user, like when you build application like Edredo, then you have to have the UX very, 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 optimized as well as to the modern standards. So we spent a lot of time brainstorming what could be done, right? So finally we had two options, okay. Option one thing has to be, kind of kept in mind here is we are not talking about, say, a presentation site built in Drupal migrated to, some other version of Drupal. We are talking about a large scale application which has a lot of features. When you explore Edredo, I would just pause it here, I'll explain. So Edredo is basically something, we if I have to correlate it, it's LinkedIn for educators and, students, okay. I'm just trying to quickly, help you map it. So it has a lot of features. And when we talk about LMSs are supposed to have, let's say, quiz, assignment, classroom management, a lot of things. So it's a huge package of features. So the option one was that we halt the ongoing development, right? We set up a team which works on new development, okay? And meanwhile, we only provide support on the current application, right? So this is like focusing on rebuild, right? I mean, focus on rebuild, halt the current development, just provide support. That's it, okay? And let user wait until your new application is up. And option two is set up a parallel team, right? Team A is there who's like supporting the current development, say Drupal 7, and then you have next version of next team which is working on another version of Drupal, right? Now we all know like this is super cost ineffective, right? So so we chose none. We went for third one, progressive migration, right? And that's the whole idea about idea behind this. So how do I define progressive migration? I just saved time in drawing. I thought I'll do it here. So this is your D7, okay? This is your D8, right? Now, this is a routing layer, I call it. Okay. Now, this is your user. Okay. And what you do is, whenever a request is made, a decision is made that where to route the request. Okay. So, either you route here or you route here. Okay. Right. Now, this can be done using Nginx, right? Part of your URL or your site you segregate, you keep it on Drupal 7. Okay. Drupal 7 is still serving part of the application. You built something on Drupal 8, okay, and then you route it. This is the nascent approach. Using just Nginx, you can do it. Just the routing layer is your Nginx. Now, what you do is you pick a feature set, okay, from here, okay. You built it, that is migrated, okay, and then you make it up here and you start serving those URLs from here, right? Those requests from here. So you are not trying to migrate everything at once and making the application up, right? Now, I'll go to my approach, what we did. So this is the application, I mean, very high level architecture diagram, what we did, okay? So what we did is, we did not, I mean, what we did, we moved our authentication to something else, okay? We moved it to Firebase, okay? We still have Drupal 7. If you open edredo.com, not entire application is moved to Drupal 10 now. I mean, when we started, it was Drupal 9, but now we have moved to 10. So not everything is still moved to 10. We still have certain things which is being served from 7, okay? We and then authentication is moved to Firebase. You can always choose to, one of the Drupal site to be as authenticator, but we decided to go for Firebase because I'm going to answer it on the next slide. So now this is Drupal 9. The routing layer we kept on, rather than keeping it on Nginx layer, we had Next.js introduced in the front end. Now, I mean, we all know the advantages, like we have SEO advantage as well. Then you have decision making, you can do whether you want browser rendering or server side rendering in Next.js. So, and then in Next.js, you also have rewrite. Okay, whatever you could do on Nginx, you can always do this routing at this layer. So the first version which we launched had certain static pages, okay, like home page, about us page, all those pages were built on Next. When user logs in, when you go to the user screen, it will actually serve you the Drupal page. So Next was serving the Drupal page. Okay, that's how we started migrating. Okay. Okay, so this was the simple migration we started with. Okay, now of course this is not the end of the problem. Okay, so here are some of the problems. When I said in the beginning, is Drupal perfect for everything? I mean, almost everyone will agree that no, I mean, it's not perfect for everything. We can do almost everything with it, right? I mean, it has those capabilities, but is it wise? Of course, no, right? At this, I mean, the biggest advantage which I have, sort of experienced in these days is that Drupal is very resource intensive. Even if you can do it, you need a lot of resource in the backend. And when we talk about application with heavy traffic, then you are going to consume a lot of infrastructure serving those requests, and that is going to incur the cost. So one of the example I would like to discuss. So this is how we started realizing the problem. So notification, okay. So subscription and notification, as simple as it sounds, it's in every application now, whether it is Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever, YouTube, right? I'm not sure if you have noticed, in recent time YouTube has multiple times changed its notification system. Now you don't get notification unless you specifically go and click on the bell icon, right? So this was solution to one of the problem they were facing. I mean, subscription and notification is literally a very a big challenge when we talk about, or when we talk about it on massive level. So the simple solution, I mean, what you could imagine is like, let's say we have, I'll just quickly try to explain what we could do it in Drupal, right? So let's say we create a custom entity which is storing UID, and then reference UID, like, I mean, UID, and then let's say node ID, and then other details, like let's say we can store a serialized data here. And what you could do, that if I have followed 10 users, so whatever these users are doing across, for me you can have a line here, right? And whenever I'm logging in, you can show notification like, okay, so these are the 10 notifications you have. Now let's say I have 1 million, let's say I have 1 million followers, right? Okay, let's talk about scale. Now that means that whenever I'm going to do something, you are going to insert 1 million lines into a table, isn't it? For every user who are following me, right? Now what will happen normally in PHP, that when I make a comment, the backend is doing all the insertions, right? So the comment is, my screen is still frozen because the request has not returned successfully, because 1 million lines are to be inserted. Now you will quickly think, okay, I'll create a job, I'll schedule it with cron, right? So we tried it. Your cron becomes very heavy, and later on it will start crashing. Another thing you could try, how many of you have used PHP background process? This is a great tool, by the way. I figured out, I mean, when I was working on these things, it's a great tool you could use. I mean, it doesn't wait to complete the request. You can just, free, the responses can come, I mean, just quickly, and you can do the things in the background. So try using it. So we did that. The whole point is that this entire thing, subscription and notification, are not supposed to be handled like this, because this is a problem of fan out. I have 1 million subscriber. When I post, 1 million are to be notified, and some of them will share. Then again, it will fan out. So it's a big problem. Okay, and this is why these systems like Twitter and Facebook and YouTube, they are consistently working on this thing to improve that, how they can handle. Now, if we talk about Drupal, now it's almost impossible to handle on that scale in Drupal. Okay, so this is one problem. Now there are others. Okay, so whenever you, as I said, whenever you build application for scale, there are many problems you will have to handle. Let me explain it one by one. So feed stream is, again, you know if you have a platform like social network, you will build a feed stream, right? So when I land on the page, this is again similar to subscription and all, and it is related. At the same time, you don't want to have, let's say, very static kind of feed, right? Whoever is creating its you have to be intelligent and smart, right? Like the way now these social media work, at least you have to match that level, right? So your decision making cannot take a lot of time to build the feed for user. Quiz. Now, as simple as it sounds, we do have a module in quiz, but this will crash very quickly when we talk about scale. Okay. The problem with quiz is, you guys are laughing. I think you have faced it, right? Yeah. Okay. So the problem with quiz is that there is a fundamental, need in quiz. People, all the students who are supposed to attempt, most of them will start at the same time. Okay, in general, of course. I mean, if it is a, let's say, open quiz for 3 days, the attempts can be distributed. But usually what happens in most of the cases when schools are using, they are very strict, like you have to start at 10 and it will end at 12. Okay, so everyone will start at 10. Now your application will crash. Okay, so this was another problem. Email sender, when the traffic will increase and when you have a lot of notification settings and you want to, keep your users updated, this is going to be very challenging. Usually we handle on cron, right? But this is something you cannot handle later on. Now, when we talk about streaming server, right? So if what we have on Edredo is interactive video, like you must have seen on Coursera or some other platforms. Like video will pause and it will ask you a question or ask you to do certain things, then video will move ahead, right? So video streaming server is something, is also challenging. You would not like to handle it, Drupal, and many more we are about to figure out as we grow. Okay, so so these were the challenges. Now, what's the solution? Microservice. Okay, what we did, we started removing every component from Drupal. Okay, making it a separate service which is working independently, and that's when Firebase authentication was useful. Okay, when we did our POC, Drupal authentication in early stage was like, quicker. Okay, it has I think it was 300 millisecond or so, but it was quicker than Firebase. But at scale, okay, there was no match. Okay, Drupal will slow down, and when you have multiple components running, you have to manage session prolongation among all, right? There has to be a handshaking and there has to be authentication protocol which makes sure that if user logs out anywhere, it logs out everywhere, right? So so this was the answer. We started working with feedstream. We found getstream. There is a repo on um, GitHub. Okay, they also have now a SaaS, and this is a well-funded SaaS now. So we took their repo. Okay, they have like done a very good job. We overworked on it, and we built a separate service for stream. Now anything is happening with node ID user. It has a very nice. What happens is, whatever organic group is being built inside the Drupal, like let's say one user is being followed by 100 user, you just keep on informing that system. Okay, for every user a feed will be built. Okay, and it will serve automatically to your Drupal. So just have, rather than hitting Drupal API for it, we just hit stream API and we get it. Okay, and it also has a lot of smart configurations, I would say. So in fact, the sorting order has a lot of mathematics, like logarithmic decay. So you could explore, like with the time of post and how many likes are there, it will automatically intelligently decide whether this post should rank top in the feed or what. Okay, quiz was another example which we handled differently. What we did, of course, we decoupled it, right? So the quiz application is a separate React application, and when we decoupled, we had a lot of capability. Like, not with the arrogance, but with the confidence, I can say that Edredo quiz are literally the most powerful right now in all the available free systems. Okay, so you can compare it with even, let's say, Canvas or Moodle or all the LMSs. What we have built is literally very seamless, smooth, and also it has AI capabilities. Like, just turn on the camera, it will recognize the face, it will recognize whether the person is looking at the screen, or whether in between trying to use mobile phone or something, how many times person has looked here and there and so on. All the details it will analyze and keep it there. Now, I mean, just to add, I mean, because I'm talking about it, there was another challenge. How many of you have worked with image processing machine? Yeah. So you need a lot of GPU, right? Whenever you want to, let's say do a video processing is nothing but you just break it into images of small, let's say 5 second. You get a image and you try to process it, right? So you need a lot of GPU. Now if 300 students are appearing the test, doing it for 300 will cost you a lot and you cannot provide it for free. What we did, we used, I mean, right now we are not doing it in some GPU server or anywhere. Rather than this, we wrote JavaScript application, okay, and it is happening in the browser itself, okay. So it's not like we get the image from the screen, from your Chrome, and we send it somewhere where it will be processed. This was so much costlier, it could not happen. So we we made a resource restriction that you must have these many, this much of the resource in your system, and then we do it in their system itself. So the Chrome is sending data back to the server. At the same time, we also have offline mode. Offline mode is like, let's say internet is gone, what will happen? So if internet is gone, you can still continue with your quiz. Even while submitting, internet is not back, still no problem, still you can submit. What you can do, it's like it will be there in your browser. Whenever you connect, it will be submitted, one. Or second is that you can always download a encrypted file and send it to your teacher or manager who is doing it. So they can just go ahead and in the backend upload. You cannot, of course, because it is encrypted, you cannot edit it, right? Yeah, so this is so much about quiz. Email sender, again, as simple as it sounds. When you have traffic, let's say one user has subscribed to many things, right? Now, if you start poking him, okay, every, let's say, other minute or every 10 minutes about something, you are going to irritate that user, right? So you have to aggregate the email, okay? So again, we removed email from Drupal, okay, and we have a system who kind of aggregates email and send it at once. So let's say if you have 10 notification, it will just aggregate, send it into one, okay. Video streaming, how many of you know H5P? Again, open source. You must check. I mean, as a developer, we must know because it's a great solution for a lot of things. Video is one of the thing it provides. So we used H5P, okay. H5P gives you all the capabilities what you need in terms of interaction, okay. You can have quizzes inside the video. It's a lot of things, and it's not just video. You can also have presentations, slides, a lot of things. So we use that. Again, in order to use it, we decoupled. We removed it from Drupal. Drupal just have node IDs. Okay, so, I mean, with node IDs, there are some serialized information about the video. That's it. Okay, everything is served from that server. Chat is another thing you would not like to build in Drupal again. Okay, so again, Firebase. So we have authentication with Firebase. We used database from Firebase itself. What is that called? Fire data. Yeah, Firestore, yes. So we use that, and now, I mean, chat is completely decoupled from Drupal. Okay, so so overall, using all these things, what we did by removing every other complex application from Drupal, one, we have a very lightweight Drupal running, right? And at the same time, you have very scalable solutions. So as I said, quiz, we were talking about it right now on Edredo. What you can do is we are right now moving it to serverless, okay. So what is going to happen is that we are moving the backend to node, and then it will run on AWS Lambda. So whatever traffic is coming through, it will be able to handle it. It can be literally any traffic, okay. And this power you have because you decided to go for microservice and keeping your Drupal lightweight. Well, okay, I thought I'll add this slide as a bonus. as I said, I was talking just outside the this before this presentation, and I said every other problem we handled in this application is literally one session. So, for instance, this I can talk about content authoring experience. By default, we know in Drupal, okay, let's use CK editor, okay, but there are a number of challenges when you plan your application to have a mobile application in the back. I mean, and if you want your mobile application to be capable of doing every other thing, like you want, let's say, let's say we all are using Slack almost, right? Or other, let's say, Teams. So, so while authoring in the mobile also, you have all those rich editors, right? So you want to add smiley, all those things. Now, for this and at the same time, for instance, we have AI capability. So like chat gpt, you can ask for suggestion and all, and it will give you the suggestion. Okay, this fx, you could see it's a maths right there. So you can literally write any mathematical formula in latex, and it will generate the image for it and will insert. Okay, so you need an editor where you have a lot of control, and which is compatible to every other platform. Our mobile application, it has a full-fledged mobile application both on iOS and Android, and we were working to build it on Flutter. So we decided to go for, after a lot of research, we thought what other guys are using. So LinkedIn is using Quill. How many of you have used Quill? Try it. It's really smart editor, and LinkedIn is using it. So we started. I mean, it's always easy to see. If you want to build something, try to see what others are doing, right? So we went to LinkedIn, tried to figure out what these guys are doing, and we found Quill. Then we found, okay, great. It has Flutter and Flutter support as well. And what it does, Quill has a format called Delta. Okay. So in CK Editor, what happens is it gives you an HTML, right, which you store, right? Quill Delta is like JSON. Okay, so all the styling etc. are in JSON. So what we did, we are storing JSON inside our Drupal. Again, storage is Drupal, but what Delta is, I mean, what this editor is generating is Delta. And once you have JSON, you have a lot of capability. Otherwise, you'd have to do a lot of text processing, like you parse the entire text and try to understand where to do what. So this is something I really wanted to share, and you can try it. Cool. I have published this case study on Drupal.org as well. So if you want, you can just have a look over there as well. I have discussed a lot of things like what module, what approach, what what other things were used. But why I was saying in the first slide that migration to Drupal plus plus, Drupal 10 plus plus. Now you could imagine that it's not just migration to Drupal, right? Whatever system you migrate to. Now, what I'm trying to do here is I'm letting Drupal do what it does best. I mean, I'm just letting Drupal do some content management. Okay. And then apart from everything, I mean, everything else apart from this is like being moved to microservices. Okay. So, and now I have less responsibility about Drupal. I mean, if let's say tomorrow some other version comes, anything comes, for me it will be probably what I'm right now imagining, that the next version should be just one click upgrade kind of thing for me, because now Drupal doesn't have a lot of custom development, custom capabilities. Well, so now coming, I mean, so far, any question, anything you want me to highlight? Yeah, yeah. Yes. So what is happening is, as I said in the beginning, right? So Drupal 7 is still not gone completely, okay? And until we have Drupal, support for Drupal 7, there are certain things which are being served from Drupal 7. For instance, the quiz reports are still being served from Drupal 7, okay? And what we are doing now, because we are working on to move it to serverless architecture, so we will just move it to serverless. We will not migrate anything to Drupal 10. So that's the decision making over there. So Drupal 7 is still there. You can you can keep running 10 Drupal in the backend, who cares? Like, you have complete control. Yes,
with microphone for the recording.
sure.
Working? Okay, can you give please example what type of content going from 7 and from 10, for example?
Okay, yeah, sure. So for instance, all the nodes, okay. So it has a lot of content type in support. If I go a little back, what you see here, you see this, so you can post, just create a post, okay, or you can just ask question, post example, then resources are there, okay. So right now all the nodes has already been migrated to Drupal 10. So if you post something or if you get something right now, it's coming from Drupal 10. But as I said, attempts, user attempt, when you give a quiz, okay, the quiz attempt are still being stored to Drupal 7 because that's the old feature, and we are not planning to migrate it to 10. We will just remove it from 7 and it will be on serverless architecture. So if I generalize, my answer and try to just give you kind of what you can store or what how you should make decision over this, I would say there is no limitation. You could migrate everything to Drupal 10 or you can partially migrate it. It's just our convenience, okay. So because we were not sure what we will do and how we will handle quiz, so we waited, and we waited to make decision about it. But we knew that basic nodes, content types, are anyway we are going to migrate to next version. And as I said, we will let Drupal do the content management. So it was easy decision making and we migrated. Did I answer your question? Okay, good. So should I move to this one, or would you? Cool. So this is the growth story I wanted to talk. As I said, like for being from tech, we can imagine products, right? We can build, but it's always hard, and that's why tech guys are differentiated from business guys, right? Because they can build business, one are like they can create tech, right? And me being from tech and was transitioning to a business, so so I had this challenge. How do I get users? I built something amazing, yes, but how do I get users, right? So this was something, a challenge. I'll show you a video. Let me know if you could, uh, yeah. Now I what I'm showing, I would like you to guess what is happening. You see, it is making a post request which is failing, right? And the screen is changing, Okay, now I'll come back to this later. How many of you have heard of Edmodo? The name is coincidentally same. Okay, this is literally a coincidence. It's similar, but Edmodo is, or it's not is anymore. Edmodo was one of the leading, social LMS till September 2022. You see the date here, right? So on September 2022, they shut down this application, public version of it. And earlier we were guessing the reason that probably they were not able to support or they are not able to make revenue or something. But the actual reason was completely different. Edmodo have just shut down their public operation, like free website, and they are big into B2G. Okay, they, in fact, entire Egypt, okay, Egypt government has signed a contract with multi-billion contract actually with Edmodo. So they realize that this public site is not creating enough value for them, while it is I mean probably consuming a lot of resource or something. So they just shut it down. They did not, I mean, and they had more than 100 million users. I think it was 150 or so. Just check the number, okay? Crazy number. I was like, I was surprised that I mean, this number they could just sell it to some edtech company, right? But they just shut down. And then I realized that okay, this company is NetDragon, a Chinese company who own this platform, who purchased it a few years ago from a US based company, and they shut it down because they have now big deals with government. Okay, what they did, they offered this public platform to every user to penetrate the teachers, community. And when people started to love it, then they went to government and all with the data that see already these many users are using, why don't you just adopt us? Okay, so this is how they are so big, and that's why they did not. You see here it's also over 100 million users they have written. Unfortunately, this Edredo was live before it was shutting down. Okay, I think at least we have 1 month. I mean, before 1 month we were live, but I did not know about this application. I was doing keyword research myself. Okay, for homepage, all other pages, and then I landed to this site, and then I saw that it is shutting down in next 5 days. Okay, so I had to do something. I was trying, how can I get some users from here? Okay, then I started to sort of do some research, trying here things here and there, and then I found this bug. Okay, if you send a friend request, they send this message. I found it from my inbox. That's why logos are not coming, because shite is no more operational. What I did, I changed my name. The first name was Classroom On. The second name was edredo.com. Okay, and then I sent it to another one of my friend because I was trying. They don't have this, they automatically convert URL to link. They should not have done this, right? Now I had this bug. Okay, what I did, the video you were seeing was just a JS code running in the console. Make a search and send a friend request. Make a search, send a connection request. So from this classroom on edredo.com, first name, last name, I was able to send a lot of requests. I mean, if I give you a count, it must be at least 100,000. Okay, the only regret I have is I saw this just 5 days ago. I mean, if I would have seen this when they announced, I would have gone a lot. I mean, I would have gone, like, would have got at least a million user, because when 5 days is remaining, people have already switched to something because they know it is shutting down, right. But still I was able to get the first traction. I In the early days, I got roughly 20,000 registrations of teachers, and that's how I was able to quickly get it sort of running with many classrooms and teachers. And the teacher who gave me this feedback, he also came via this little hack only. So so there are other stories like this which I'm trying, because when you don't have money to burn, as a startup, you try to find out some loophole which you can use. So I'm trying those things from my end. Maybe next time I'll share those. So that was all. I hope this was the last slide. Yes, these are my contacts. You can, right now Edredo is free. We have, as I said, we have launched beta version. We are using Edredo even in OpenSense. In OpenSense Labs, I have moved more into mentorship role now, because the team is quite automated. Now we also have a full-time CEO over there. So I spend most of my time here. Um, all the hiring, all the training, everything on OpenSense as well we do on Edredo. Okay, we plan to launch a paid version when we cross 100,000 user, and all first 100,000 user will have free access lifetime. So if you want to use it for your organization, feel free to register. It's completely free, and you will have free access lifetime, as I said. Thank you very much for being a good listener. Now I invite your questions if you have any more.
Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, please. If nobody asks, either it was a very good presentation or either
Okay. What do you use as kind of microservice do you use for the quiz replacement?
Okay. So what we did right now, we are in the process. So we are making a Node application. Okay. Uh, the backend will be running on Node. Okay. And I told you Node because we want it super scalable on serverless architecture. So the backend will be Node, and most of the, I mean, if you have, what version of quiz have you used? Have you used Drupal 7? Drupal 7 you have used, right? So a lot of I mean, architecture is similar to 7. So for instance, if you are building quiz, you have to support multiple question types, right? And with every question type, you need to have a different evaluation method, right? So what we are doing is right now, because we also have to migrate a lot of data, and as I said, like, we are thinking about future all the time. We don't want to build something where we stuck again. So so this is completely a custom application, node based application, while a lot of things, because we found Drupal 7 architecture for quiz is not bad. I mean, it's overall good, but you stuck into the limitations, right? So that's what we are doing. If you ask me, like, if we have used any framework or anything in the backend, so we have used Express. Have you used? Yeah, so we have used Express as a framework, but it's a complete custom application we are building. But if you are interested in quiz, one thing is certain: uh, you must decouple it. Okay, keep the front end in React, and React will give you a lot of. I mean, of course, you can do anything over there, and if you need any specific suggestion, like, I can also share what we have built. Right now, the backend is Drupal, as I said, and right now it's actually Drupal 7. So I can share, if you want, like, how with Drupal in the backend and React being the front end, you can create a quiz system. Mm.
So maybe one final question just to catch up on the setup. But the only website you expose is basically Next.js, and all the Drupal systems moved into the background. So no external user can reach them. So it's not a security issue not being supported by Drupal anymore.
So security is really, I mean, in general, security is a challenge, right? So as I said, like, because it's not interface, I mean, we are not exposing Drupal to the end user, right? So a lot of security threat are, like, minimized, and because it's just APIs, so you have to make sure that your APIs are secure. So that's what fundamentally we are following for Drupal 7 right now. There was very interesting, in fact, if you have, I mean, this is something which we have not solved. Okay, there was a, when you grow in terms of number, and when people start to know you, you get a lot of hacking attempts as well. Okay, so what happened is, I think it was 3 months ago, uh, all the files were deleted, files from the file system, public file system. And literally we could, and that file I'm talking about is from Drupal 7 file system, and we could not figure out what is happening. Okay, till the date we have not been able to figure out, because we are not able to find out any loophole. But you cannot compromise with the user experience. This is something you can keep as a sort of, what we did as a suggestion, that at the end we still have that threat. Okay, but what we did, the moment we realized that file system has issue, what we have is, whatever Drupal 7 file systems are being created, we create a copy into some other, oh, okay, we create a copy into some other directory which is out of Drupal. Okay, and whenever it is required, we restore it. So 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 it's a lot of non Drupal thing you have to do when you are into product. So that's what I'm trying to learn, actually. I mean, yeah. Great, thank you, everyone. Thank you, have a nice day, have a nice evening. yours is next, right? Yes. Yeah.